Well, I was born completely colorblind, so as a child I was really interested about color because I noticed that many people talked about it and color is very popular. Many people use color in codes and in their conversations, so I was interested in sensing color, but there was no way of me being able to sense color unless I created a new sensory organ to sense color. So when I was studying music composition, I was introduced to cybernetics and how we can use technology to sense things that are invisible, and then I thought it would be great to create some way of sensing color, and then I decided to start a project in order to create a new organ. And I said that an antenna would be the best way to sense color, and then through vibrations, because color is a light vibration. So it's this is an antenna that picks up the vibrations of color, and then it goes inside my skull, and then the vibrations become sound to my inner ear. So this allows me to hear colors. And then I didn't see why I should just perceive the visual spectrum, because there's many colors that go beyond the visual spectrum that exists. So I included infrared and ultraviolet perception as well. And then also I included internet, so I could receive colors from other parts of the world. So it's a new organ that allows me to extend my perception of reality now. I started the project in 2003, and then in 2004 I had the first prototype fitted in my head. And then since then I've been perceiving colors, and I've continuously evolved the antenna, and it's in continuous evolution. So it's not a final thing. The antenna will continuously evolve during my life, both the organ and the sense. Well, at the beginning it was very chaotic because this is not AI, it's AS. So AI would have given me the names of colors, and then I would have known the color automatically. It would have been really easy, but I was more interested in creating an AS, which is a stimuli that goes inside my head, and then my brain needs to figure out what all this stimuli is. So I had to learn the names of colors slowly by the vibrations that I received, and it took me years, 3 years, to identify all the visual spectrum. And then after that I extended it to infrared and ultraviolet. So yes, it was a long process, but I think it's much better because now the knowledge of color has been created by my brain, not by the technology. When you add a new sense, I guess at the beginning everything is a bit chaotic, and then it slowly becomes more of information, and then it becomes perception, and then it becomes a feeling, and then in the end you have favorite. In my case I have favorite colors now, but at the beginning it was just, I learned that this was red, this was blue. Then it became more subliminal. I didn't have to think anymore, and then it became a feeling. Having internet as a sensory extension allows me to separate my body from my sense of color. So I can be here, but I could be now sensing colors from Australia or from space. So if I connect my sense of color to satellites, then I can sense colors that are outside our planet. So it's useful because I don't need to be at a specific place to perceive the color that there is somewhere else. And also it's a way of exploring space. Instead of physically going to space, I can send my senses to space, and then I can become a sense astronaut or mind astronaut by having my sense or mind in space while my body is here. Well, the Cyborg Foundation has become a platform, international, where people who identify as a cyborg can join, and they can just communicate to each other. There's many different types of cyborg identity now. There's people who identify as a cyborg without having any sort of implant or even wearable or connection, physical connection to technology. They identify as cyborgs, and some of them want to eventually have a biological body of a cyborg, so have cybernetics in the body. And then there's people who have cybernetics or technology in the body and do not identify as a cyborg. Many of them, they've become cyborgs, biological, for medical reasons, but they don't identify these new implants as being body parts or part of them. They say there's something external. And then there's other people who voluntarily have merged with technology to add new senses or abilities. So there's, I guess, different branches now. This is now a body part, but it's in fact also an instrument. But instead of composing music, my reality has become music. So wherever I look, I now hear music. So I no longer need to compose music from my imagination. I can try to find music now. And sometimes you can find extremely unexpected melodies in certain spaces. So I like to find music now more than compose music. Well, beauty is a very personal, I guess. Each person has have their own canons of beauty, but I find the unexpected to be beautiful. I like to be surprised, and I find this is so whenever I perceive an unusual combination of colors, I usually find it, I guess, extremely interesting. So that would be the closest to beautiful, I guess. But yeah, my sense of beauty also changes. I used violet, purple used to be my favorite color, but now it's more infrared. Afterwards it was red, and now it's more infrared. So my sense of favorite colors or preferences also keep changing. Yes, I see this as art, but I understand that most people don't see it as art yet. But in the same way that photography at the very beginning was seen as something very chemical, very you needed to know a lot of chemical procedure to actually take a picture and develop it, and it was seen as something very, very technological, photography, not as an art. But I think cyborg art will eventually be seen as an art, and I see the creation of senses and the creation of new body parts, the design of your perception of reality as an art movement, where artists no longer need to express themselves through the traditional senses, but through new senses. And the creation of the sense itself is an artwork. It's an art movement, but also a social one. It has a social effect because it's modifying a body, so that has a social effect as well in the streets. And in 5-10 years time, I'll have the sense of time already integrated. So I'm creating an organ for time, and it will allow me, in theory, to modify my perception of time. So maybe it will be 5 or 10 years for you, but it might be a different period of time for me, depending if I've been able to modify my perception of time. So if you have an organ for the perception of time, you should be able to modify your own perception of time. So in the same way that you have eyes and you can create optical illusions, if you have an organ for time, you should be able to create time illusions. So I might see you tomorrow, but it might actually be in 10 years for you, but to me it might just be tomorrow. Or I might see you in the past, because I could also make time go backwards. The main thing is to change your brain, not the other organs. As long as you fool your brain and you make your brain believe that you are 300 years old, you don't need to change any body part. So we should concentrate on changing the brain, not the body. I think it's time is in here. So if you change your perception of your own age, then you can live as long as you want.